Hello, so this is going to be a tutorial for making mag mods in Phantasy Star Online Blueburst. I'm going to be using Blender 2.9 for this, although you can probably use any version of Blender. The process might be slightly different for older versions where the UI is different. But all of the options should be there though. All of the same options, they just might be in different places. So I'm going to import a model now. So here's the model that I'm going to turn into a mag. Some important things to know about this model. Because I've already exported this from a different project, it's already shaded smooth and it's already triangulated. I don't recommend to actually model something as triangulated. You should model it in quads and triangulate on export. So you probably just ignore that. I'll just shade it flat quickly. So it's likely that your model is shaded flat like this. It usually is by default in Blender. So to change it to shade smooth, you can either just press space and type shade smooth and the option will come up, or you can press tab to go into edit mode and then select all of the vertices by pressing A, and then press Ctrl F and shade smooth. So that's pretty important to do that, by the way, because all models in PSO are actually shaded smooth. So the program that I'm going to use to convert this to a PSO model file does check if it's shaded smooth. Only works if it's shaded smooth. Okay, so I'm going to add a cube into the scene now. So if I try to export this scene as like how it is now, it's not going to work because these two are separate models. It needs to be a single model. So one way to get around that is by joining them together. So you can shift click on these and then Ctrl J will join them together like this. However, a problem that you'll face with this is that this little orange dot here, it's the geometry origin, will move. So this origin on export needs to be at the world origin, which is down here where these two lines are crossing, where this little cursor is. So to do that, so first off, like, it's pretty likely that you'll move the cursor around like this, and that cursor needs to be in the world origin for this to work. To get that cursor to the world origin, you can just press space and then cursor, and then these things will come up here. So then you can press cursor to world origin, or you can just press Shift S, cursor to world origin. So with that in the center, you can go in object mode, you can go up to here and press object, set origin to 3D cursor, and now it's back in the center. So I'm going to delete, actually this wouldn't work for export, by the way, because the cube is shaded flat. So you can have like shaded flat properties and shaded smooth properties in one model. So if you were to export this model, you'd have to do this again. But I'm going to delete the cube. So the next thing to do is UV editing. So with UV editing, the texture that you use has to be 256 by 256. So I'll just load one now. So this looks like a 16 by 16 texture, but it is just resized to 256 by 256. So, and also this model's already mapped. So to quickly map a shape to a texture, you can just, with all of the verts highlighted, you can just go up here, UV reset, or you can go UV smart UV project, or I'm going to go to the reset option here because actually these UVs, when you do it this way and reset, they're actually right on the boundary and they need to be inside there, so you need to resize it like this. And the reason that this is important is because the program doesn't check for, or doesn't know how to handle coordinates that are outside of the 256 by 256 range. So by using a 256 by 256 texture, when you use those options, it clamps it into this texture space. So I'll go back to layout mode now, and I'm gonna just move this model a little bit because actually the model will be offset from this point here, from the origin. So if I do this and then object set origin to 3D cursor again, that's going to look better in the game. And I'm also going to scale this by 5 because models in PSO are actually really big. So I'd usually have the original model, so I'm going to replace Sato. So I'd usually have Sato in the scene just to get a reference to how big it is. Okay, so this is ready to be exported now. So you might not have this option. It's a pretty good chance that you won't. I'm not going to explain how to get that there, but it's really simple to do. You don't need to download anything, it's just a preference setting in Blender, so it's easy to search up. So here's the export window. On this window you need to do a few things, so I'd recommend to use selection only. In fact, you should use selection only because the conversion program only handles a single mesh. So make sure you have your mesh selected before you open this window. So selection only, and then in the geometry tab down here you want to turn off right normals and then check triangulate faces. And you can also scale here as opposed to how I did it. So you could just put 5 here, for example. You can also save the preset for this. I already have one set up though, so I won't show, but you just, with the settings selected, you just press this plus button. Okay, so I'm going to save this now. And I'll call it dog2.obj. Okay, so now I'm going to open a different program, which is one that I've been developing called njaGen. And what this tool does is it converts OBJ files into nj or nja. So I'm going to select the new model, the dog2 model here, and by default this setting will be off. You want to turn this one on and then just hit this button. And then, so you want to, this program will highlight the entire text when you click on it, the entire output. You want to copy that, and then I'm just going to open HXD as well. So now file new, and then you want to paste this binary code into this section of the hex editor. So don't paste it into decoded text. And then Now I'm going to save this. So this is an nj file now, so I'm going to call it dog.nj. I'll call it dog2.nj. And then the next step is to use PRS. So this is a tool made by Stack, and what it'll do is it'll make a new file if I click this compress option, and then I want to actually navigate to those files. So here's the dog2.nj. You want to click on the nj file, and this won't overwrite the file, it'll make a new file, it'll make a .prs file, which is just a compressed version of nj. Okay, and now AFS manager. So I'm not going to explain how this program works. Basically this is just accessing where the model file for Sato is, and I'm going to replace it with a different model. So you can see here that this is another similar tool, texture manager. So this is Sato's texture. If I replace this texture, it would replace the texture in game. So, and you need to put the PRS file into here and then just click save. And just briefly, you can see which files I have open with these tools as well. I do have another video about these, so okay, I didn't realize it was going to be so big. It's because I'd already scaled it. But yeah, you can see, at least it shows it off pretty well. You can see that the geometry is pretty much the same as in how it was in Blender. The texture is just mapped to the Sato texture.